How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
Hello and welcome into another Red Out Podcast. And
This is 2020. This is 2020. This is 2020. I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.
I know Jake's cringing right now, but
I am as well.
Oh, Jared is too. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
First good cringe of the year. Thank you for that, Devin.
I couldn't
First
resist.
of many.
I couldn't resist. So, did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, it was good. How about you?
Yeah, it was good. We've had another baby shower. So,
Nice. Wait,
was
how did you shower the baby if it's not here yet?
shower it with gifts. And that's the way we do this. If you can hear this, that
Yes.
is
Loud and clear.
that is a gallon wine jug full of goldfish.
It sounded like a baby rattle, so I mean.
If my baby
what I
can
thought.
rattle this, then she is going to be like Hulk Hogan. But yes, this is what I'm eating right now is just leftover baby shower stuff, and I've got a half a sheet cake in the fridge that I'm going to be going after. But
Nice.
I know you all aren't awesome. Hey, Ross, how's it
Hey
going?
guys, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy
Good
New
to
Year to
meet
you. You missed my Barbara Walters dedication, so
Did you die or something?
no, this is 2020.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I couldn't resist. So I guess we'll jump into it. Jake's going to be a little late. He said he's going to bathe his baby, which, I mean, isn't that just like a pressure washer, just real quick?
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
it just depends on the night.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just messing. But just like always,
You'll learn here soon, Devin.
yeah, it's T-minus 23 days.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see how everything goes. We had an ultrasound yesterday, and the tech said she is measuring about a day early. So she's a day larger than what she should be projected. So we'll see. Winners and losers. Right now, I think America is going to say yay because the Patriots lost.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, I know you're happy, Jared.
Oh, always. I mean, first of all, the Dolphins beat them, which is what kept them from getting the first round bye, which even when the Dolphins are terrible, like, you still want them to always beat the Patriots. Like, they're the equivalent of MTSU when it comes to, like, NFL sports for me. I've hated Tom Brady as long as I've had an understanding of how sports works. So, I mean, even if the Dolphins went 1-15, you want that one to be against the Patriots just to see Tom Brady cry about it. But not only did I get to see him cry about losing to the Dolphins, but then getting beat by Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and the Titans the week after was even better. So we won't have to endure a Patriots Super Bowl this year. Thank God.
I agree, and I honestly, you said it, but I was going to ask you if the Dolphins only beat one team and it was the Patriots, you'd be happy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So did you guys see when with the Patriots loss, this stopped a streak of like a decade where either the Patriots or Alabama won every year.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
The year that the Patriots won, Alabama wouldn't win it, and vice versa. So the streak finally ended this year.
That's
I hope
crazy.
it continues that way, too. I'm tired of both of them.
Exactly.
Honestly, was really surprised that the Cowboys hired former Packers coach Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, and they also said Marvin Lewis was in contention for that. And it's like, why would you get someone that
Really?
is basically finishing 8-8 and wouldn't win a playoff game? That's what you've had.
Because
The
no
past,
one wants to
7
work for
years.
Jerry Jones, Jared. Come on,
Yeah.
man.
That's true. That's true. I mean, and the thing is, too, Jerry Jones, I'm pretty sure, was very adamant about not firing Jason Garrett.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it at all. He just how many years was he there? 9 years. It's basically he had no choice.
I mean, it's just a system of mediocrity. I mean, what have they done? The last Super Bowl the Cowboys had was on VHS, and that's my favorite joke that I love to give.
I don't even think they had television the last time the Dolphins won one. No,
Jared-
that wasn't that long ago. It was
Jared-
the 70s.
Jared
Me
wasn't
too.
even alive the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, so
Wow.
95, were you alive, Jared?
Yeah, I was. That's more 93.
oh, that's right. Oh well, my
He's
brother
been
was.
alive for 2 Cowboys Super Bowls.
Wow.
My brother wasn't born then. He was born in '98. So let's see here. This is one of my favorite things. Let y'all listen real quick. I don't own the rights
It's a
to this.
great day in Tiger football. It's a great day in my life. I promise you that. I want to thank Coach Miles for bringing me here. And it's a place that I always wanted to come. Gave him a standing ovation, and we moved on.
That was the Cookie Monster Ed Orgeron comparison. I love
That's
that.
great.
And LSU is going into the what's the bowl called? The national championship.
Yeah.
BCS national
College football
championship.
playoff final.
Yes, the finals. I thought it had a name though. I thought they gave it some Tostitos Bowl or something.
I
It's
don't know.
just
They
the
do with
college
other
football
ones.
playoff. It prints enough money as is. So
Yeah. So LSU is going to the championship this year with Coach Coach Cookie
Orgeron.
Monster.
Coach
Yeah.
Oregano.
Yes, Coach Oregano. So congrats to them. The LSU is always a fun place to go. Western went there in 2011, I think, or 2000.
And 15.
Yeah,
15
15 as well. That was an
But
ugly game. I know Matt. He went to that one.
I
And
was
that was when
there.
it was like
It was
a
a
torrential
monsoon.
downpour. Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's yeah. Those are the most sad and disappointing games to go to because it's like, can we just not speed this up any faster?
Well, I mean, we were in that game until the third quarter, and then what was it? The guy, I think it was Brandon Lesson or somebody, fumbled on a kick return, and that pretty much ended the game for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember as far as scoring and everything goes what that was like. But anyway, I was just talking about the weather. Those just make it just miserable. But Jared, do you have any winners and losers?
Yes. Well, I mean, you kind of stole my loser. I mean, it was going to be the Patriots. So, I mean, of course. But my winner, the best news I've heard this year is that Victor Oladipo for the Indiana Pacers is coming back January 29th. Finally. He's been injured for almost a full year. It will be on the 24th. But he's definitely going to be a good thing for them to have moving forward. They've struggled with injuries, even with their other players right now. So, I mean, I know he's not going to come in on the first game and drop like 30 points or anything like that, but just to be able to work him back into the rotation is going to help them a lot, especially before the playoffs as well. I think they might could upset some people, so I'm glad Vic is finally back, finally.
Nice. Yep.
He got to do the Masked Singer and all that fun stuff, but now it's basketball time.
Yes. Ross, do you have any winners and losers, buddy?
Yeah, first I just laugh at every time I listen to you guys do this because it's pretty much a rundown of the NFL and your teams, but it's kind of funny. So I'll do a winner for Alex in spirit. You know, he's a big Titans fan, and I'm a nominal Titans fan just because I lived in Nashville for a couple years. But Titans, man, knocking off the Patriots. I mean, Derrick Henry was a beast, and that defense is looking great. So I mean. Wouldn't put it. I mean, Lamar is going to be a really tough hill for them to climb, but you never know. You know, with some turnovers and some luck, and they could take that and make a run. Some other off the wall stuff. I know the Predators fired their coach, Peter Laviolette, and they replaced him quickly. I guess they're still in the playoff hunt. I think they're
several games out of it right now.
Yeah, 19-6-7 though, so they've still got a winning record and 45 points. So maybe this sparks them. I think what was it last season? The Blues were out of the playoffs and they changed their coach. And so I mean, who knows?
I saw the Preds play. I think it was maybe towards the end of November or somewhere around there, and I could definitely see some of the issues they had. They've had a lot of issues with their offense, and especially on power play. Like they have that man advantage, and they're not able to do anything with it. And I mean, they've had some epic meltdowns. Like they had a 2-0 lead in the Winter Classic against Dallas, and ended up choking and didn't score anything else and lost 4-2. So I mean, I think it was the right decision, but it'll be interesting.
I mean, that's what they get for trading Subban. But
they definitely should have kept him.
Anyway, and my last winner, I don't really have. You guys went through the losers. My last winner is the Reds getting their first Japanese player, Shogo Akiyama. I think their projections are finishing with a 90 or 86 to 90 wins. So. As a long-suffering Reds fan, let's see if they can make one more move and really get me something excited about this summer. So
yeah, that's definitely for Reds fans and around Kentucky and other areas. They'll be glad to hear that we've got a Japanese baseball player with big marbles. So since Ross brought it up, I'm going to do some news that's not related to sports because I really enjoy this and I want to read this. In Mississippi, 2 men were attempted to scam the state lottery commission by submitting a losing ticket that had the winning numbers glued onto it. A gentleman who is 47 years old and another gentleman 48 were arrested Monday and charged with offenses including uttering counterfeit instruments over $1,000. By the way, this is the funniest story I could find just now. I was like, really? That is hilarious.
Did it show a picture?
No, it does not, but I'm picturing like the most redneckest Mississippi person I can think of right now.
I'm thinking of like those serial killer notes where they take different like letters and like glue it together to form a sentence. I picture it like that, just not even the same font for the numbers.
Yes. Oh, wow.
That definitely is up there with some Florida man stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's close. It's close.
So, jump into other sports real quick. We've had a lot of news since we've been on our kind of winter break here for the podcast. Women's basketball played on January 2nd versus North Texas, and they lost, sadly, 61-54. They played on the 4th versus Rice and lost 73-65. They will play MTSU on the 11th, which is Saturday, in Bowling Green at 2 p.m. So if you can't make it to the game, which I would encourage everybody to go, especially since it's Middle at Bowling Green. You got to beat Middle every time. It's on ESPN3 and 102.7 radio. So definitely support the Lady Tops. They need it, and they definitely appreciate it. I know they do.
I think the issue with them in those really the last 2 games, if you read Matt's piece today about his little women's hoops notebook, he said, we've kind of dug ourselves a bunch of holes early, and the offense, which was a strength last year, has kind of turned into a weakness this year for some reason, despite having all the same players. I think, there's no shame in losing to Rice. They've got a really good team, but that North Texas loss really digs a hole for us. So we need to hold serve here at home this week and hopefully win them both to get back in the Conference USA race because it's kind of losing to Purdue the last regular season game. It's probably all going to come down to a tournament or bust. So you want to get a top 4 seed. Well, when you start off 0-2, that doesn't do you any favors. So time to get back on track.
Yeah.
Does Rice still have that girl that's like 6'7" or 6'8" or something like that?
Mulkey, yeah, they still have her, and they still have that really good guard. But they actually really struggled in non-conference. So, it's really Greg Collins has got to get that early season mojo back because it was looking really promising until last Thursday, I guess, when they played, and now they just got to get it back. So.
Yeah, definitely. Hoping the women get back on track, especially against Middle. Women's basketball is always going to be a great sport. It's just not pulling the people, but need to pack the couch for them because they'll appreciate it. Also, minor sport. My wife's not here, so I can say that. Track's Indoor Invitational in Lexington is this weekend. So we'll try and give you all some updates as far as how that works out next week because my wife likes to know that stuff, I guess, whatever. Anyway, so let me see if I can find this real quick because I think this is great. I'm going to play this clip real quick that I don't own the rights to.
It's the IMG Sports Network.
Yeah, that was not Randy Lee, which I loved. I could not find that. That was the delightful laugh doing the ESPN callback from Corey Munson's kick from 52 yards to seal the victory for Western. So now Waste Management University has to change their name.
We are Best Western.
Yes. We're the Best Western. Western beat Western Michigan University 23-20 in the final play of the game, which, by the way, for those people who are still on the Sanford train, that call was a great call. for what he did, for throwing the for Coach Helton to call the Hail Mary pass to confuse Western Michigan completely. And let me see
Didn't
if I
they
can.
have 12 men on the field in back-to-back plays? I mean,
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
If Jake was on here, he'd agree with me. They peed down their leg in that last bit of the game.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
they
I know
did.
a lot of Western Michigan people after the game, like they really want to get rid of their coach too, just because of not just that, but also it was an underwhelming season to them. And ever since PJ Fleck left, I mean, obviously that's big shoes to fill. Sort of like the big guy being after the guy, you know. So like how Sanford was after Braum, it's kind of the same situation, but that's still kind of sad that you have two opportunities to have 11 men out there and you still didn't. It's pulling the MTSU big time.
Which, I mean, I don't know how many coaches they had on their sideline, but usually when I was at Western, the strength coaches were in charge of making sure we had enough having 11 guys on the field. So, for instance, it's third down and long, the strength coaches are calling up punt. You don't want to hear that, but they're calling them up and they're making sure we got the guys in the box and they're ready to go out. And I mean, something's going on there. I'm not blaming the head coach there, but something's going on. And I actually do have Randy Lee's here. So this is from the IMG Sports Network. We don't own the rights to this, but I just love it.
Down for the bowl title. Here it comes. Right foot through. Get there. Get there. Get there. It's a kick for the ages. Corey Munson has won the bowl game with a line drive kick from 52 yards away.
I love that. That is great.
It's amazing. I think Western needs to do more of capturing Randy Lee's like big moments like that. That was like, between that and the Ty Rogers shot are like the only two I can really think of. Like they need to get like the best of Randy Lee here soon, and just like because there's just so much. He's got so much material over the years. What his call like when at the end of basketball games you can open.
I guess we lost Ross.
Ross,
Can
you
you
there?
I think he dropped whatever he was doing. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, even at Western, they could. I don't know if they still have this at Diddle, but they used to have kind of like the trophy cases and stuff. I mean, they could have like memories and like the Ty Rogers shot. You walk up, you push a button, and it plays the call from Randy Lee or shows the video or whatever. I mean, that could be really interesting.
Sorry, I got disconnected. They just need to do a better job of promoting their history. You've got fans that, frankly, you got people that come into the fan base, students and stuff that don't realize how much history Western has, and doing stuff like that would be kind of cool to get them up to speed.
Yeah, and even what I did the other day, like yesterday, I went to the Simpson County Archives that we have downtown in Franklin, and they had a bunch of WKU talismans and everything, and I found one from 71, and I was just looking through it at all the stuff from the Final Four team and Jim McDaniels, Coach Oldham, and all of that. I mean, stuff like that is so cool, and it's kind of sad that not many people like my age and younger that are either current students or recent alumni and everything that might not really know the full history of everything like that. I mean, pretty much everybody at a surface level that knows much about Western sports, like, oh yeah, went to the Final Four in 71. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I mean, actually looking into it and seeing the stuff from that time period was really cool.
I mean, technically, what we got, third?
Yeah, third place, beat Kansas.
Yeah,
well, they kind of got gypped in the semifinal game, if I remember correct.
Yes.
We made Jay Wright, Villanova's current head coach, cry because of the game we lost to Villanova. He says that in his book. It was really funny that he was already a Villanova fan, like as a kid and everything. He's like maybe 9 or 10, and watching Western Kentucky play Villanova in the Final Four, and was talking about how when it went into overtime, like he was an emotional wreck and all of that stuff.
Which I don't think a lot of people realize that. When back in the day, the Final Four was a what's it called, a round robin. So everybody played everybody, and then
it was you just played a consolation game.
Oh, you played consolation, okay.
Yeah, like the winner would play the winner and the loser and the other loser, and whoever won the loser match would get third place, and that's what Western did in 71 against Kansas.
Yes, but yeah, I mean that's something, Jared. I guess you could bring up when your next meeting with Todd. Maybe kind of having a history of, the different athletics and being able to have these the current students and new alumni learn this stuff, because you got to pass the history on, and people are not realizing kind of what's going on, I guess.
Yeah, and there is a lot of that in Diddle Arena. Like if you go through like the upper core section, it shows like a lot of the different decades and everything, and some different pictures and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, when you're there for a game day, I mean, you'd have to allow a lot of extra time in order to walk around and see all of that.
Just put
Plus
more of it
people
on
be in the way.
YouTube. Put it on other places that
Because
young
when I was
people
trying
can
to
find.
I was trying to do like the top 5 3-pointers of Western's history because of the 1,000 game streak or whatever with the 3-pointer, and I couldn't even find one, just an isolated 3-pointer, the one that they made in '93 against Louisville. Like I couldn't even find that. I have never seen any highlights from the Louisville versus Western game in 2007, 2008 when we beat them in Freedom Hall. I can't even find any of that stuff.
That was actually in Nashville. But there's none of that. Exactly. You should highlight this stuff because that matters.
Yeah, I'm sure some listener or fan actually has the audio or the visual or whatever, the VHS tape of that game, and that would be awesome to be able to digitalize that and share it on the different social media.
Including, here's another one, the 2002 national championship in football.
Yeah,
that was 1AA, but that'd be great to rewatch and kind of relive that kind of stuff. That'd have been awesome.
I have seen clips of that game, and for whatever reason, I don't know what I was doing, but I just turned it on ESPN and they were on, and I watched that game. I
remember watching that game.
I watched the last 10 minutes, but I really wasn't like a huge Western fan at that point. But that I remember being excited about watching that game and the ending and everything else. But yeah, so since we got a little sidetracked here, Western was 481 yards. Western Michigan had 307, 358 passing yards for Western. 123 rushing, 4 penalties for 56 yards, and 2 interceptions. Of course, Western Michigan had 193 passing and 114 rushing, and 64 penalty yards and 1 turnover. But my thing is, I know a lot of us were talking during the kind of in the group chat, talking about how we wish that Ty would have ran a little more. I think he ended up running 30 yards or something. Yeah, he got 30 total yards. But
Gage had a pretty decent game on the ground, didn't he?
Gage had 93 yards. Lucky had 148 yards that game.
17 catches, right?
Yeah, that's a new record.
Yeah, I mean, Lucky did awesome for his. I guess that would be his final game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And, I hope he gets a shot at the NFL. He really came on late, and it's just. We hate to keep harping on how poor the previous staff was the previous 2 years, but just seeing players like him bloom, Jacquard Pearson, like people that couldn't get any consistency, and then now you're just seeing them blossom. It was kind of really cool to see the last year.
I agree. Actually, Josh Simon got 6 receptions, 105 yards there too. So. I mean,
that's gonna be a preview of how I think the offense is gonna be next year. I think he's gonna put up some crazy numbers unless defense is key on him.
He's gonna be a Mike Wandine, kind of esque player. I think he could be really good. I'd like to see him get a little more size on him though, since he's playing tight end. But I mean, as far as strength goes, not necessarily weight. But yeah, I mean everybody. I don't have anything really to complain about in that game. I mean, it was a close.
I do. I mean, I think they should have probably beat them by. I mean, it doesn't matter. We won the game, but I think there's a couple gripes you can make. I think the turnovers kept them in the game, and the reoccurring problems of not finishing drives and stuff like that. Which whatever. It was a bowl game. It was close, and then I could have sworn I remember in the text I was like. Helton almost got marshaled again, where he called the timeout early, and it gave Western Michigan enough time to go down the field, and for some reason they didn't kick the 47-yard field goal. I thought that it was going to be the Marshall game all over again, but yeah, you survive in advance, and you end the season on a great note. So,
I mean, a lot of people complain that we didn't get a better opponent or whatever. I thought this was a really good game.
Yeah, it turned out to be pretty good.
I agree that they should have blown them out of the water or whatever, but our defense, and that's one of my, we'll talk about it later, our resolutions. I would love to see Western's defense just keep it up as far as their strength and being able to shut opponents out. And, I mean, they kept Western Michigan to 300 yards. They didn't even clear 200 passing or barely got 100 rushing.
They only got 13 points because of the pick six. So
yeah, which, by the way, of course, I wasn't able to watch it because I was actually at work listening. But when you all were talking about the pick six, I was like, oh, great.
It was a combo of Ty probably shouldn't have made the throw, and then Josh Simon kind of just flukily tipped it instead of knocking it down or something. So
yeah, which he's a young kid. He hasn't. I mean, it's one of those things you're going to learn experience. Yeah, he's a freshman, and I mean, I'm not going to be one of those that's going to jump on him for something like that because he's going to learn. He's a freshman. It's like Corey Munson. A lot of people were jumping on him earlier in the year, and this kid, I know a lot of people are greatest.
Earlier in that game, people were jumping on him.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I'll before the half. Yeah.
I'll cold take myself, and when I saw Hilton initially line Munson up for the end of the game, I was like, oh man, I don't know why you're trying to field goal. It might be like a kick six. I didn't think he'd have enough leg to get it all the way down there. That if Western Michigan had a guy to return it, it'd be a kick six because something ridiculous always happens when we play a MAC school for Michigan. I don't know what it is. But, I mean, of course, the infamous Bahamas Bowl against Central Michigan was still one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. I basically consider that a loss because it was. That's how it felt at the end of that game. I didn't have any joy. But thankfully for this one, I mean, seeing him absolutely drill a 52-yard field goal. And I found a great video from the WKU equipment tech people that were behind the goalpost. Is the best angle of it that I shared. And that still would have been good from almost 60, which is insane.
Yeah, they said he hit a 58-yarder in high school. So, I mean, that kid's got so much potential. I think, if he can figure out the accuracy and get to 80%, he's just going to be a huge weapon for WKU the next 3 years.
So, yeah, getting a big one like that's going to help his confidence moving forward, too.
Completely agree. With all the points going forward here, but I mean, field goal kicker, like I've said before, is one of the hardest jobs on the field. Quarterbacks, they get time to warm up or whatever, but you have got to come into the game and kick a 52-yarder. I mean, I couldn't do it. I mean, the pressure would be amazing. Going into the game, you've got to hit this 52-yard field goal to win the game right here, and I mean. It's unbelievable for me just thinking about that. But Western's 2020 schedule was released. Ross, you got an article on the Towel Rack about it. I'll let you talk a little bit about it and just kind of preview what we're looking at next year for WKU football.
So we knew the whole schedule, who the opponents were going before today, because the non-conference was had been pretty much set in stone for the last 2 or 3 years. So. The first month we already knew Chattanooga at home as our warm-up. Hopefully we don't, pee down our leg. I mean, they went
for
6
the third year in a row.
Yes.
They actually have 3 Western transfers on their team, so it's kind of funny. But, I mean...
Yeah, they'll probably show up for that.
Yeah. Gino Appleberry probably being the biggest name one that we would know, the running back. But, they should be an opponent you should handle. Who knows? Then really big opportunities the next 3 games to start off the month. So... At Indiana, Liberty, coached by Hugh Freeze, and at Louisville. So, this is probably putting the cart before the horse. We can get into my top off-season questions as well, but this is the kind of schedule where the Power 5 teams are beatable. We'll get in the conference schedule too. The conference schedule is stout enough where if Western found a way to somehow run the table, you could put yourself in the App State did this year in the P6, in the New Year's Bowl buzz, and with 17 starters, who knows? So, and then the conference schedule wise, it was the same teams we played this year flipped. But the really crazy thing I thought is, what the heck are you doing, Conference USA, doing both of our rivals back to back? I mean, that stretch from Indiana to UAB is just brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, just, regional rivals, hated rivals, all back to back to back. I think, Western could be really good and figuring stuff out, and they could still go, 5-2 or 4-3 to start off the season. It's crazy.
All right, we're going to run the table next year because Ross said we're going to go 5-7 or whatever.
No, I didn't say that. I said 9-3 on my piece, but I think overall it's a very fun schedule. I think I said that in the piece as well that all 4 of our 6 road games are drivable, like within 4 hours of Bowling Green. So like if you wanted to follow the Hilltoppers like the Grateful Dead this year, you could easily do that. I mean, at Indiana, at Louisville, at Middle, and at UAB. You could the only road trip games that are really hard are Boca Raton at FAU and at Charlotte. But if you planned ahead, it's like this could be a fun year for WKU fans. So just buckle up.
Yeah, Liberty. They are independent. Are they still in transition? Is that right?
No, they went to a bowl game and they beat Georgia Southern. Coached by Hugh Freeze, and they did lose their starting quarterback and starting running back. So I would imagine they had a grad transfer or something like that, and they'll be formidable. But that's a great number 3 opponent on your non-con. So
yeah, they beat Georgia Southern 23-16 in the Mortgage Cure Bowl. By the way, Hugh Freeze, is that not like a name that if you got a message from Hugh Freeze, you'd be like, that's fake. That's not even a real name, is it? Come
Honestly,
on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the hooker said.
Yeah. So Western's, like you said, they got Chattanooga, which, by the way, is it just me? Am I gun shy with these, FCS teams? Is it, or is everybody else kind of like, man, this is going to be a tough game first of the year? We have lost 2 years in a row to FCS teams.
I'll give credit to the teams that did beat us. They were both FCS playoff teams. There's no excuse in losing to them, but I mean, this year's loss was a fluke to a first game of the season with a new coach. And basically they just stopped playing in the fourth quarter. The other one was Mike Sanford. So Chattanooga, 6-6 team. We've got 17 starters coming back. If we want to make a statement, we go out there and we beat them 40-10 like we should. So
completely agree. How did the Flying Sanfords do? Ooh, they got beat. Ooh, they got beat bad. They got beat by Kent State 51-41.
Oof.
He failed up and got the co-offensive coordinator job at Minnesota.
Yeah, which I've heard a lot of flack about that, but I think that's a good position for him. So,
did you say you've heard a lot of flack about that?
I heard of flack.
I like the pun better.
You like a little flick from that? Okay. Just looking at the schedule, November 7th is going to be an exciting one against FAU. That'll be the first time that Taggart has been in Bowling Green since
It's at FAU.
Oh, that is at FAU.
Yeah,
Good call.
We got another wait.
I've got another year. I was going to say we're going to have it's going to be that awkward conversation. I thought you went to get smokes, Dad. Where'd you go? But then we got Southern Miss on the 14th. The 21st is FIU, and Charlotte the week of Thanksgiving. So that could be really exciting.
They said that 9 of the 12 games that we play are bowl teams. So this is a great schedule.
Yeah,
I mean, it's for arguably Western's most buzz since the Dowdy senior year that they won the first conference championship. This is a fun schedule for a potential special season. So
yes.
Yeah, and once it gets closer to season starting, I'll have my every predictable season or whatever, where I look at every possible record for Western to have in football. That was one of my favorite things I did last year. And I definitely had us finishing at like 8-4 as a stretch. I didn't think that was very possible. I'd have to say that someone would play at like Brandon Dowdy level, which, I mean, Ty Story was not really Brandon Dowdy level as far as talent, but game management was really good. But we'll see.
He was like a fine wine. He got better as time went on. So
yeah,
he definitely hulked out at the Arkansas State game Arkansas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I also didn't think that our defense would be so good either. And D'Angelo Malone is staying another season as well. He's going to play his second year. So just think of what him and hopefully Elijah Brown will be able to do in the defense.
Can I get in my big off-season questions real quick, Devin?
Sure, yeah, go for it, buddy.
Okay, so like I said, I'm building this up. Helton, to his credit, got everything back on track, whether it be a combination of Braun players, transfers, and then Sanford, he did bring us some good recruits as well. So, and a defensive staff that has stayed the course. So, I've got about 7 or 8 questions that we kind of have. You guys can give quick thoughts on each. Number one, I said, the number one thing is keeping defensive coordinator Clayton White. I think, we talked about NC State potentially scooping him up, but they already hired somebody. So I think, we monitor the situation with him. If we make it to February and he's still our defensive coordinator, we've got, a lot of staff continuity coming back, which, Devin, you can talk about that. How important it is from one year to next to having the same coaches and same goals instead of having to figure out new people.
Oh, it definitely. It helps to gain some trust with the players, having somebody around that they can trust and go to with questions and stuff like that, and even having the same scheme from year to year. It helps. Having Clayton White there, having these starters, D'Angelo Malone, like you said, he's coming back. I'm just
Juwan Jones,
yeah,
Kyle Bailey, Devin Key, Roger Cray, all those guys are coming back.
I was just about to ask if Cray was coming back. He was always one of my favorite, just kind of like little pop up DBs, because whenever he would pop up, it was some major play that he just did. He would just pop up, and it's like, hey, I just caught that, and you're like, who caught that? Oh man, that was Cray. He did it again. Oh my gosh, He was
hurt half the year, so when he came back, he really made an impact.
Yes, he did. And D'Angelo Malone, just can't say enough. Just awesome kid, awesome
And
player.
I think, another person that we kind of totally forgot about who got hurt before the season even began is Kentucky transfer Eli Brown. Linebacker was probably one of our softest spots on the defense. You had a former SEC linebacker who's proven that he can play, unlike Jaden Hunter. We're going to have depth, we're going to have talent, and, kind of we get into this later, Helton can really sell to grad transfers, to JUCO guys. Like, you come in, you can be a part of something special. That's what Brom did with, the Jared Dangerfields, the Holtz of the world, and, the Louisville transfers at the end of his tenure. Like, I think he can do the same. Helton, if their staff is good, like, they can add a couple grad transfers to fill in some holes. So.
Oh, most definitely. I think this could be a really fun season coming up.
And then another quick other questions. Will the staff take a grad transfer at QB? I think they will. You've got to push Stephen Duncan. He still hasn't proven himself. Davis Shanley played only mop-up duty, and Kavaris Thomas hasn't proven he can play quarterback yet. So you can't just ride with that when you have such a special season coming up. And then
I'm not doubting Stephen Duncan, but I just don't think Stephen Duncan could have taken us to the heights that Story did this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think he would have been as good of a game manager, but I think he might have done different things. But really, there's no way of knowing, because the offense, he never got a chance to get the offense clicking. So, basically the first 3 weeks, everybody was still figuring each other out. So I don't know.
I agree.
I think he deserves a shot at the job. I'm not like you guys. I'm not out on him saying, he doesn't have a shot. I think Duncan can do it. It's just he's basically, if he gets another chance, it's his last chance, and he should have a short leash. So
I'm not saying he shouldn't have a chance at it. Coming into spring ball and summer camp, I think they all should be thrown in the mix and see who's going to come out on top as far as that's concerned. But as far as grad transfers, I think it just depends on the caliber of the player. Let the coaches have their discretion as far as who we're looking at or whatever as far as that goes.
I think they need another receiver or two after losing Lucky and not Pearson.
Quinn Jernigan.
What's his name? Quinn Jernigan. Yeah, they need to try to find another receiver. Obviously linebacker, defensive line, DB. They'll try to plug in some holes there too. So keep an eye on that.
Like I would be, like I would be a fan of getting a grad transfer again for this season and redshirting that Grady Robeson from Washington, and then maybe letting him play after he gets to redshirt a year. I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential. He was starting to get picked up by Washington a little bit. He had some high level interest, and he had some pretty good stats his last year. So I mean, he could end up maybe having a little bit of a ripple in the quarterback competition, even. So we'll have to see what he's got.
I agree. I think kind of give him that red shirt year to give him that time to develop a little bit more, because I mean, at that position you got to it's a little more mental than it is actual physical. So, but you got some more questions for us, Ross?
The last one, we kind of went through him. Malone coming back was huge. I think that gives the defense a chance to be great. Not losing any grad transfers. That's, you've seen, I've kind of been monitoring some of the players, on social media, and the only players we've lost to the transfer portal thus far have all been kind of backups that never saw the field. So that's a good sign. I think if you look back at the last championship teams, Taywan Taylor, Forrest Lamp, Dowdy, they could have probably all left early and gone to bigger schools with more prestige, but they decided to stick it out here and win a championship. And if they can keep their stars playing, there's tons of people like Devin Key, like Gage Walker, who have been here for 4 years that might have already graduated. If you can keep them in the fold, that's huge. And then the last thing I really had, and this is kind of just has nothing to do with the football side of thing. It's really the WKU side of thing. Can Bowling Green and can the administration sell fans on how special this season is going to be, and will they respond if they do, hit those levels? Because, like I said, I'll beat this drum all off season. This is lining up to be the best season since the Brom era. Let's see if we've got the winning culture at WKU. Now the fans need to actually follow. 8 out of 9 seasons bowl eligible. Football isn't just a little distraction now until basketball. It's really built up a big culture here. And when you look at our traffic on our website and stuff like that, it's like people care just as much about the football team. And now it'd be nice to see the fans in the stands do the same. So.
Completely agree. Yeah. Love to see them pack the couch to support football this year, because, I mean, like you said, it's got the possibilities to be a very, very special year, and we'll just have to see how everything goes. I would like to say we're going to try and get DeAndre Furby back on for a little spring ball come right around spring football, and right before football season starts, or maybe that first week of football, we'll try and get him back in and see what he thinks as far as the team's going and everything. And if you haven't listened to the podcast where we talked to DeAndre Furby, go back and listen to that after this one. It was a really good episode. The sound quality on his end wasn't quite up to snuff like I'd like, but go ahead and listen to it. It's a good episode, a great interview with him, and I appreciate him coming on the show. It was really fun, a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Make sure you check that out. But I guess we should be talking basketball right now, right?
Yeah.
Men's basketball. Men's basketball played Rhode Island, lost 82-86 or 86-82, whichever way you want to hear it. Belmont, they lost to them, which, I mean, Belmont just has our number. Is that just...
Wait, we played Belmont because I tried to forget that game. It happened.
And Belmont beat us 79-62 on the 28th. And... No, I rewrote that one. That one's not right. Sorry. Let me double check these. What did we... Yeah, I am crazy. Oh, okay. Men's basketball played North Texas and won 93-84. And then men's basketball played Rice on the 4th, so last Saturday, and they won 68-61. Yeah, I am like smoking the purple crack, as my middle school math teacher said, because I wrote down the women's basketball score there instead of the men's for whatever reason. And so men's play at Birmingham
Tomorrow.
at 7 p.m. tomorrow, yes. And they play UAB 7 p.m., and that is on Stadium. I'm assuming Facebook Live or whatever, too. So on the break, what did you all think of the men's basketball team? Of course, Bassey being out kind of hurt us. And how do you think everything, as far as the I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how do you think everybody's kind of adjusted to that? Jared, how do you think everybody's doing?
Oh Lord, it's been kind of a crazy ride the past few weeks. I've been at all the home games that have happened recently. I didn't get to see the Rhode Island game, but it's just been so capricious, this team. Like, they have so many moments where they look like they have their act together and are doing so great, and then they have moments like against Belmont in the first half against North Texas where you're just like, what the heck are y'all doing? It's just so many different factors come into this. The biggest one is the point guard position. Like, I love Tavion Hollingsworth. I think he's a great player, but he just doesn't seem either happy or comfortable at it being at the point guard position, because every time he has the ball in his hands, like, he's just at a slower pace. The ball's not moving as fast. People aren't moving as fast. But when Jordan Rawls is in there, that's his natural position. Like, I think this team has looked so much better with him, especially in that second half against North Texas. Like, this game has been
Down 15.
Yeah, down 15, and then go on like a 35-6 run out of halftime. And Hollingsworth was shaken up right out of the gate. It's like only a couple minutes into the second half, and he had to go to the locker room. So Jordan Ross comes in, and he's absolutely torching it. I think he got like 18 points that game. And I will respect Stansberry for this, is that in the North Texas game, like, he didn't make a single substitution in that second half. He rolled with the guys that were hot and were doing what they were supposed to be doing on the court. And guess what? It worked. I think there's a little bit of a correlation there. I mean, that's hopefully something we'll get to talk about here in a second, like the New Year's resolutions. I definitely have one for Stansberry, but it's just so frustrating watching this team, because like, their style of play is not just walking the ball up and down the court and trying to make something happen and throw up some random shot. Like, they need to be running it a lot more than they are. Like, they look so much better when they're going fast. And just another thing is it's so hard for them to break a zone defense. Like, in all of Stansberry's tenure since he's been here, like, they haven't been able to break a zone defense very well at all. But thankfully, he's made some defensive adjustments. He started to bring out that 1-2-2 defense. That looked pretty good, bringing a little bit of a press at the front. But it's just so many different things to unpack. But at the end of the day, we're still 2-0 in conference right now. Have definitely 2 important road games coming up. And I don't know why
2 must-win road games, in my opinion.
Yeah, those are both big ones, because UAB, they're sort of like a B-level rivalry. Like, they're never really appreciated as like a full rival, but yet when we play them, it usually gets kind of chippy. And I mean, their fan base actually cares about their team. So I mean, there's a little bit of that smack talk on Twitter and stuff, and it's just like, it has a lot of roots too. It's back in the Bartow days, especially like the Mars Bar incident and all of that, but. That's an underrated rivalry game, in my opinion. But, of course, 100 Miles of Hate on Saturday, too. That's a big one. So they definitely need to win both of those, because UAB's had struggles. Of course, Scooty Bryant, their best player, he had to leave the team. And, of course, middle, they lost Coach Kermit and just about everything else that they had. So, I mean.
Haven't won since.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. I posted this on Facebook, and we're going to get to it here in a couple minutes. But the resolutions for football and basketball. The funniest thing is I posted it and not really thinking about like what people were going to say, and I'll get to it in a minute. But basketball is definitely, I think, the longest. That just kind of goes to show you kind of how. Basketball's doing currently. All right,
I think negativity breeds more comments than positivity.
Oh,
I think so
absolutely.
too. I completely agree. I think so too. But yeah, Western's 2-0 currently in Conference USA. They got UAB, as you said, on actually tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I've got some thoughts whenever you're ready for me, but Devin.
No, you're fine. Trying to see where that game is. It going to be televised? I'm assuming it's going to be
Stadium tomorrow, CBS Sports on Saturday.
Got it. Good. So Ross, go ahead. What's your thoughts, bud?
Okay. I wrote a pretty big piece after the Belmont loss. I mean, there was no shame in the Rhode Island loss. I mean, it was kind of a dogfight back and forth, and this team is obviously flawed without Bassey. I think Stansberry I think his biggest problem is he does not trust his bench whatsoever, which is makes your hair, pull out. I know Jarrett's going to get into this later, but like Carson Williams, when he's on, he's fine. But like, and finding that new defense where you don't really expose him that much is great. But like, we are just criminally undersized without Bassie, and the fact that we don't have really any backup centers that he'll play just kills us against teams. Like against UAB tomorrow, you got Mac Targay and who's the other guy? Tamel Pearson, who are both over 6'10", both starting against us. They could eat us alive tomorrow, and I don't think UAB's that good. They're 0-2 in conference. So, that is roster management, and that kind of leads to the whole thing. Like, the North Texas game, the comeback was fun, but the Rice game was, Rice isn't a good team. We should really, the theme of the last 2 seasons is we are not beating teams like we should. We should be beating these crappy Conference USA teams that are in the 250s plus in the net and the Kimpon ratings. We should be beating them by 15, 20 points. Instead, we're hanging on for 6-point victories. So I wrote a piece after the Belmont debacle, which was a debacle. They didn't play hard. They didn't look like they're ready. Belmont's got your number. You thought they would come out, motivated and ready to play. Instead, they just laid a big fat egg. I don't think the program's trending in the right direction under Stansbury, and I think that fans are getting restless. I think we'll be lucky that Conference USA is so bad, so they could be mediocre like they are. These last 2 games didn't really sway my opinion on what I wrote. We could be mediocre like we are and still finish, 14-4 in conference. But recruiting's not good, roster management's not good, in-game coaching is without the defensive presence of Bassie, it really magnifies Stansbury's in-game coaching, which we know he's not gonna wow anybody with his X's and O's. But you got to make up for that with a system. You've got Josh Anderson. The fact that it had to take to Bassie to get hurt for him to play 30 minutes a game is ridiculous. You got Rawls, who had the best game of the during that comeback, and he only saw 20 minutes. You saw, you have Cam Justice and Savage that'll, I think they both can be great players, but they also are very inconsistent. Play the hot hand. Like, you've got, people like Gambrell and Horton and Cozart rotting on the bench, and, that could come back and bite you in the butt too. That's what happened with Tolu Smith and Delano Banton. He didn't play him enough, and you know what? Now we don't have a backup big man. If we had Tolu Smith on this team right now, I don't think we would have missed a beat with Bassie's injury. And it's just there's a lot of stuff going on with the program that it's really Stansbury's fault at the end of the day. Like, he inherited a crappy situation. He's got to find a way to fix it, and he's got to change what he's doing. You can't just say, well, my system is we slow it down, we try to draw fouls and blah, 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 blah. You've got a plethora of guards. You got athletic 4-star players in Conference USA. Get up the floor, run with them, and play to your strengths. Don't just play to your system. That's my soapbox, and I think you got to take advantage. UAB and Middle are both really bad this year. Yep. Don't give me that you're going on the road excuse. Go ahead, take care of business, win both games by double digits, and then you can get fans back on board. Because, Jerry, you were at both the games. How were the crowds on Thursday and Saturday?
North Texas was pretty bad, but Saturday was good. It was Star Wars Day. Everybody had the lightsabers. I think there was about 6,000 people-ish there. Maybe
I think it was 4,700. So
really? It seemed like more than that to me.
But without students, it's just the natives.
There was actually more people in the student section than there normally was. But yeah, I think people are just fed up because, what you were talking about definitely hits a nail on the head. But I'm just tired of us playing at the level of our opponents. Like, we play someone big like Arkansas, who still hasn't lost to anyone else besides us, and show up and play at a high level for that game. But then when we play Rice, we don't play at that same high level we played Arkansas. We play at the level we just need to beat Rice, which I don't really think is the best effort or way that you should be able to play. But, it's so frustrating.
Which, by the way, I want to interject something just real quick. How funny was that Todd Stewart post? Was that not hilarious on Twitter?
First of all, that was the stupidest tweet from Arkansas I think I've ever seen. That's the biggest reach. Be like, oh, we've only lost was it how many they lost? They haven't lost any games in.
They haven't lost so many games in. How did he say it? In basically
It was some stupid way, but they were just trying to make themselves look better than they are because they're not ranked for a reason. They haven't played much of anybody. So
Georgia Tech's like their only good win. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, whoever tweeted that's just a reach. And even the Arkansas fans were like, bro, delete this. This is sad. That's terrible.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Stewart definitely burned that bridge. They're never playing us again in a non-tournament.
Oh, never again. Never again. They're going to be like Kentucky now. They're pulling in Kentucky and never touching us again.
Probably right. But like you said, Western's got UAB. They got MTSU. UAB is going to be it should be a cakewalk, right? I mean,
I wouldn't say it's a cakewalk. They have talent even without Zach Bryant there. Taven Lovin, Jared's boy from Franklin is an athletic player. They've got it. Maktar Gay is a good big man, even though he doesn't have great stats. I mean, their problems are they're like a less talented version of us. Like they play up to their opponent. Who's their coach? Eson, is that the name of their coach here?
It's still Eason, yeah.
Yeah, Eson that succeeded Jared Haas, who went to Stanford. He has not been able to get it going there. And like UAB used to be a program that averaged 10,000 fans a game, and now they're averaging like 4. So like they basically that whole fan base has shifted to football, and there's so much apathy in that program. So if you can get up on a UAB on the road early, I think you can put them away. But they're the only team in conference with a winning record against us all time. Maybe Marshall now too because of just not playing a lot recently. But like UAB's always kind of had our number, and it's a sneaky big rival. So I wouldn't take that one for granted. Middle, I think, is legitimately bad. So
yeah, I agree. UAB. I was just looking at. I don't want to look at that game. Well, actually,
they played Kentucky tough. They beat undefeated Duquesne a couple weeks ago, so they're kind of a helter-skelter type team. But they lost both of their games on the road last week.
Western is currently sitting at a -1 for the spread against that game. Currently, the BPI has us at 62%. So currently Western's points is 79, UAB 63. Field goal percentage, we're shooting about 50%. They're shooting about 45%. So we'll just have to see. Currently, Western's 1-2. They've lost to starting conference. They have lost to. Let me pull it up. That's not
Charlotte and ODU. Sorry. I think.
Yes, and Charlotte and ODU. Charlotte's at 1
Charlotte's an interesting team this year. When we get to them here in a couple weeks, they play that Virginia style, and I think that game UAB had against them was like 50-49, something crazy.
That's
like
disgusting.
That. Yeah. So let's hope that's a game where whenever Western gets them on the schedule, you get out, you run with them, you blow them out of the building like we did last year.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Charlotte and UAB's was 51-44, which, yeah, exactly. That's just, yeah, it's just not even fun to watch. Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
Take care of business this week. I mean, if you want fans to still be engaged and still care and not jump ship, beat these two teams one that's real and the other one that's just flat out bad. Middle is flat out bad on Saturday.
There's no excuse to lose to them.
Yeah, well, there's no excuse to lose to UAB with our talent differential and where the programs are at right now. Mm-hmm. There's no excuse.
So once Western finishes on the road against those two, they will play ODU. That Virginia, they will play them at home on the 16th at 8 p.m. and that'll be on CBS Sports Network for those of you who can't make it. But those of you that can should go and try and watch the game and support the guys. They'll appreciate it. So jump into our final segment here. Just like everybody else has, Jared, you got to leave us?
Yeah, here in a second.
Okay. Well, we'll
Get
let you
him
go.
first.
Yeah, we're going to do you first. Everybody does New Year's resolutions. Usually they end in like March on average, but we've got for football and basketball. Jared, I'll let you do yours, and then I'm going to read some from our fans and see what theirs are for those sports. Go ahead, buddy.
All right. Well, I probably echo what some people have said in the basketball group, but my resolution is for Rick Stansberry, and it's pretty simple. Don't be scared to make adjustments. With it, whether that's defensive adjustments, offensive adjustments, rotation adjustments, especially, like don't be scared to just stick with your system and expect everything to work out okay. Because if this year and the last year has been an indication, it has not worked that way. Because I mean, losing Bassie obviously is a terrible thing to have happen, but I mean, maybe you try to let Matt Horton play a few more minutes and see if he can get anything going if there's the dominant big guy on the other team. Or maybe Cam Justice is having a terrible game and he's like 1 of 7 shooting. Maybe you let Rawls play a little bit more and maybe set him on the bench or something. I don't know. I'm not a head coach, but what I do know is that all of us who have said these things, when he did make some adjustments in the North Texas game, things worked out pretty good. So maybe it's funny how that works. Like, I mean, there's been a lot of people saying this, and like we've been getting dominated in the paint, and yet he still has people like Horton and people like Cozart, even though they may not be as experienced. I mean, there's still bodies that you can have. I mean, that's something that he really needs to think about, because the way that the modern era of basketball works is that not many players want to get recruited somewhere and fluffed up and everything, and then when you get on the team, you don't even see the court. And Isaiah Cozart's current experience
Jeremiah
Gambrell, I mean, he's another one. I mean, he's had some good moments. I mean, he's had a little bit more playing time.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, he's sort of like what Jake Omer was when he was here.
Better version.
He's a better version. He's a little more consistent than Omer is, but I mean, he needs to go a little deeper in his bench, because it was what the North Texas blog tweeted along with what Ross tweeted earlier on our account, is that's what UTSA did in the tournament. They only played like 6 guys, and guess what? They lost. So if he only sticks with the same 6 guys that he's going to be using this entire season for the 3 days or 4 days in Frisco that we're going to have this season, it's not going to be pretty. Like, we won't even make it to the conference title game if that happens, because they're going to have dead legs by the 2nd or 3rd day that we're down there. And depending on who we play, like if it's Old Dominion or Louisiana Tech, it's going to be a physically demanding game. So, I mean, I hate it that it always has to come down to just 3 or 4 days in the conference tournament. That depends on our season. But, I mean, failure to make it the NCAA tournament after a 4th year, Stansberry is already under a lot of heat, and that's just going to make things worse, especially after the last 2 years of getting so close to getting back in there and being in the conference title game and losing both times. The fan base is restless, and we just want some changes. I mean, it doesn't have to be a head coach change, but we want to actually see our head coach make some changes. That's what is a good thing that they should do. So I hope that I'm not mistaken by just saying that he should go a little deeper into his bench, but I got to go. So that's basically my resolution for that. So please, Rick Stansberry, I know you're probably not listening, but make some adjustments on your rotations.
Yes. Hey, take care, Jared. Good talking to you, buddy.
See you guys.
But anyway, so I'm going to read a couple real quick from our fans. I'll start with Matt's. Matt kind of is going to echo a little bit what Jared said. Play the bench or your starters will peter out in March. Completely agree. But kind of like the fat person who makes the go to the gym, resolution, lose weight. I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. If he hasn't been doing it, I just don't. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Those kind of sayings are fitting in perfectly here.
Do you know what the definition of insanity is, Devin?
Exactly. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Exactly.
Richard says, play hard and play together. Yes. Scott says, energy, effort, intensity, 40 minutes every game equals no regrets, which, by the way, that always reminds me of the no regrets. But anyway.
That's really true when you look at that. I think that second half against North Texas is going to be the time where when everything goes right, they're playing hard, they play defense, they look focused. That's what they're capable of. That was the best half I've remembered since probably in 2 years, and they need to soul search and figure out how they did that and how to play at that level. So,
Kimberly says, focus, put in some extra time shooting, work on some offensive plays. Do you agree with that?
yeah, I mean, I think Stansbury's offense has always been a issue with fans. I think it doesn't matter. Besides the 1 year we went to the NIT Final Four, it gets stagnant. It doesn't look like we're really running an offense, and it's half the time it's passing around and trying to get a foul inside. That's not going to work. And when you can run plays, when you can run sets, that can get you out of slumps. That can get you out of stuff. That can get you to draw fouls. And we've got offensive talent on this team. I mean, we're a top 50 offense in the country. It's just if you run more of a flow-based system instead of just rolling the ball out there, you're going to be able to, score more consistently in crunch time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let me get that pulled back up. I accidentally X out of it. But let's see. I got some good ones here. Come on back. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get this pulled back up. Just having one of those nice days where you just kind of goof off and do something completely wrong when you're not meaning to. James says recruiting. Geneva says coaching, which I thought was pretty funny. Jennifer says get some on-the-court leadership like Justin Johnson had when he was a player.
Amen there. Definitely. I think that's been a recurring problem.
Okay. I completely agree. I think basketball is definitely a team sport, and you got to have some direction. I mean, and on-the-court leadership definitely helps. John says never forget basketball is a team game, and together great things can happen. Just basically what I just said. Sorry, but John also Brooke says box out. Seems like a lost art.
Carson Williams had a good game boxing out, but yeah, I mean, rebounding is a total issue without Bassey, and you've got to play harder without him. That's the only way you're not going to get murdered on the glass.
Yeah. Wife just got home, in case anybody's wondering why the dogs are barking. Butch says more depth with the bigs. Robert says just win, baby. Well, yeah. And I already read Matt's. Matt is the last one down there. I would like to say that I would like to see Coach pull some younger guys, put them in for a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, let them do it. Save your bigs, kind of give them the just a little boost right before the last 5 minutes of the game or whatever to give them a couple breaths, let them get in there. But I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. I mean, obviously we preach about this all the time, but he's not going to do that. It's just not in his.
Well, we can talk about those comments that he made, in Elliot Pratt's article in the Bowling Green Daily News. This is like, it disgusts me when I read this. It was like, the games at a fine line margin. We're games determined by a few possessions. We can't afford to let the younger guys grow through mistakes and multiple trips up and down. That's what non-conference is designed to accomplish. Well, he didn't play the backups in non-conference either. So, I mean, I think it's just showing that, what you're saying, Devin, he's not. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's not going to change, and we're going to have the same problem we had last offseason with mass exodus and lack of continuity. When you can't, these young guys need to be pulling 10 to 15 minutes a game to get their confidence up, get them ready. Lord knows we need another big man. Play Cozart more. I know he might be in your doghouse. You might not know what he's doing, but you can't. Carson Williams is going to just peter out and die if he doesn't get more rest between now and the end of the season.
I completely agree. My thing is there's got to be a question that fans and people around the program have to ask when we have so many players jumping ship when in the right after the season's over and everything, they're jumping ship, going to different schools and this and this.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Merrick Nelson, how important would he be on this team? He wasn't a flashy player, but he was a good role player who played good defense. Stansbury ran him off. I mean, there's a long laundry list of guys that we'll upgrade talent. He sacrifices talent for chemistry. He doesn't play guys. He doesn't, I've been giving him the benefit of the doubt, but that Belmont game just drove me crazy, and it's just he needs to put up and shut up, and this is the year. Conference USA is awful. The really only good team in the league is Louisiana Tech, and they're still flawed. So we got to take advantage of this. you know what? It doesn't matter if they were bad. If you can sneak in the NCAA tournament, that's my resolution, Devin. Make the tournament
Yeah.
this spring. Just
Um,
no excuses. Just make it. I don't,
Yeah.
and you got to do the things that we've talked about to get there.
Yeah, I was going to bring up another point. Actually, just kind of my thing is okay. So I just thought of it. With what we're seeing right now, I know we're winning, but does it seem like to you like there was no backup plan if Bassie went down?
Oh, totally. I think the backup plan left for Mississippi State, and Stansbury even admitted it. It was basically we were blindsided by Tolu Smith leaving, and we don't have any. Let's hope Charles doesn't get hurt. Well, when he did, there's zero backup plans. Throw Carson Williams, who's 6'5", going against 6'11", 6'10", 6'9" people, and he's just getting murdered inside. Like our interior defense is awful. Our
And that's
defense period is, but yeah.
my thing is as a collegiate head coach, you got to have some kind of plan in place. I mean, you can't put all the weight on Bassie's shoulders as far as that goes, because then you're going to have kind of what we're going through now. I mean, we're still winning, but we're losing that that definite key piece there. So
You gotta play. You gotta play at least. You gotta play at least 9 players consistent minutes,
yes,
and that means 10 plus because you're gonna keep your good guys happy, and then you're gonna extend the bench. Like right now, they've got basically a 7-man rotation, and really Rawls is the only guy who he trusts to play off the bench on a consistent basis. That isn't gonna cut it, and that's just gonna leave your program in bad shape because we all have egos and everybody can't play. I don't think anybody's calling for Jackson Harlan to play, even though he's on scholarship. It's okay, but when you have flaws on your roster, play guys, give guys breaks, give them chances, and you know what? Press, run, get more effort. Get Gambrell 10 minutes a game, get Horton 15 minutes a game, get Cozart 8 minutes a game. And then you can build that continuity over time. It's just his roster management is just, and in-game management is just killing it. And it's, if we don't make the tournament, it's really going to be a reckoning. I really think that fans are going to be fed up with, and he brought a lot of this on himself. He hyped up everything. We had these monster recruiting classes, and fair or not, a tip against Rice doesn't go in. A bad 5-minute stretch in the second half against OU doesn't work. Whatever. But at the end of the day, we want results. And if you're not, if he would have made the tournament a couple times, we wouldn't be questioning him that much. It'd be like, okay, well, it's just a bad luck season. But he's under the magnifying glass now. He needs to get there.
Would you say his seat is hot or cold?
I think it's hot. I know. I think it's I don't see him getting fired at the end of the season, but I think that we've already seen it when it comes to fan reaction. This is year 4. It's definitely one. If we don't make the tournament this year, fans are going to be pissed. We only have 1 recruit signed right now. And and there could be another revolving door offseason, and people are just losing patience with it. You can have all this drama, all this stuff when you're winning, when you're underachieving, and when you're promising. When you sign the best recruits in school history and can't even play up to your level. When you're beating a bad Rice team by 6 points when you should be beating them by 18 points. That's going to drive people crazy.
Yeah, completely agree. So let's slide over to football real quick. You did say your resolution, right?
For football,
for basketball.
It was just make the tournament, and right now just play up to your potential. Like start beating in the short term. Start beating these crappy Conference USA teams. I'm not just saying that because Conference USA is terrible this year. Start beating these teams like you should. Start beating them by 12 or more points and taking care of business, and start establishing yourself up to your level of potential instead of saying every game's going to be tight and we're just going to hang on, and because that's going to bite us in the butt. If you got to come in hot and play your best basketball, and now's the time to start doing it.
Yeah, a lot of coach speech going on there. So posed the same question in the football Facebook group, and so some of these aren't bad. Some of these are really far-fetched, and some of them are, pretty much the same. So Mike says conference title next year has to be at the top. Yeah, I mean, kind of agree. Janice says, do what we, quotation marks, or parentheses, WKU and fans need to do to keep our coach more than a couple of successful seasons. Yeah, completely agree. Got to keep him. Gary says 10 or more wins, the rest will take care of itself. Gary, 10 wins is crazy. I mean,
I don't think it's crazy. I mean, that's literally just two more. That's two more wins than we had this season. And how close were we to getting there? Jared said it all the time. We were literally a made field goal from Marshall and a terrible fourth quarter against Central Arkansas from getting to 10 wins this year. That's not crazy.
Let's see. Middle, Marshall, UAB. That's 3 that's possible. ODU. I would say we could probably take Atlantic this year. Okay. I'll see the 9, and then the 10th would be the bowl game, I guess.
I predicted 9-3, but I mean, if this team 17 starters back, the Marshall is trending down. Southern Miss, who's on our schedule, trending down. Florida Atlantic, who's won 2 titles in the last 3 years, they have a new coaching staff. Who knows how Taggart's going to do there? This is the year, kind of the stars aligned. If you think back, remember 2014, Devin, WKU. They finished 7-5 after the Marshall win, and they came and they beat Central Michigan and all that buzz because they had all these people coming back. The only difference is we don't have a quarterback right now that's proven. Yeah. But if we find a quarterback, all the other pieces are there. We're going to have the best defense we've ever had, and I have faith in year 2 of Helton's offense and Brian Ellis's offense that they can go from the what did they finish points per game in football? Probably like 28 or something. Like maybe they can get to 35 points a game and start being explosive again.
Yeah, I'm not. Let me see. I'm going to take a quick gander at that. Let's see here. Well, let me look at this while that's loading up. Conference champion, which I think I think that's a possibility. BCS Busters, which would be fun. Beat Middle, definitely a possibility. Kathy says, keep our coach, be consistent, and everything else will fall in place. Go Tops. Yep. Michael says, recruit. Dustin says, keep our coaching staff in place, all of them, and get the team active in the community. Lots of press coverage. If that sells 1,000 more tickets per game, it's worth it. And as fans, we need to recruit, quote, people and get them to the games. Pack the house. I
agree.
Yeah, love to see a lot more people come into the games and actually stay for the entire game. Terry Claypool says, move up a conference.
That's not happening.
Yeah, it's not. We don't have the money, dude. I mean, to go to the next level, I mean, you're going to have to. For instance, doesn't the SEC have a seating capacity that they have to stay with?
No, it doesn't. No, because Vanderbilt's is like a third of the others. But the thing is, it's not happening. Like you got to control what you can control. What you do now is you keep winning. We've 8 or 9 years we made a bowl game. That's huge. You got to keep winning, and you got to keep selling tickets, and you got to keep building on it. And then maybe next time in 5 or 6 years when the musical chairs start again, you got to pray that you've put yourself in a good enough position where, hey, we're an attractive program. People know who we are. You know what? The AAC needs a spot. Boom, we're going to call up WKU, which I still don't think would happen because Bowling Green's tiny. But you can. It doesn't matter. You just have to do what you can do. So
I can't find where it actually has the. Oh, here we go. Team stats. Sorry about that. Western's points. Let's see. Points. Points allowed. Western is the number 1 in Conference USA. 20 points allowed per game. Followed by UAB with 20.8. I'm trying to find scoring. But yeah, I completely agree.
25.4 points a game. So let's minimum add 5 points a game. But I think you look at the Brom era. Let's get to 35 points.
I agree.
We've shown that this staff, part of this staff was part of a great offense, and you still return 4 offensive linemen. That was number 20 in the country, offensive line. You return Gage Walker, 1,200-yard rusher. You cornered Jacour Pearson, who is a great slot receiver with 800 yards. You return Josh Simon, who is a beast. I mean, there's tons of weapons all over the place. We should take a step forward if we can find a quarterback.
Which, by the way, Gage Walker was second in the total yards rushing for Conference USA with 1,208. He's behind Marshall's Brandon Knox with 1,387. So, yeah, I mean, and then, of course, the final New Year's resolution for football on the post is from Scott. It says, get bigger and stronger. Off-season is the time to grow our players. Completely agree. Development, strength, all that good stuff. I guess personally, I would love to see Western. I would love to see Western ranked. That would be kind of my resolution. Get Western to break top 25.
Here's the thing there. We've got the schedule to do it. Like, you want, these aren't, Indiana and Louisville aren't crappy Power 5 teams. They're good Power 5 teams, but they're not great Power 5 teams.
Yeah.
You go up to Bloomington week 2, you everything's clicking, boom. That's a statement win on, probably on Big Ten Network. And then, you take care, you beat Hugh Freeze in week 3. That's a name brand coach you beat at least. And then you go back up the road to Louisville, you beat them, which they return a lot of good players too, especially on offense. Like, you have an opportunity to make some statement wins that, frankly, beating a 2-win Arkansas or 2-win Kentucky didn't do. These would be like, okay, we've got the talent to actually stand out, because I'd say, those IU and Louisville teams are probably minimum 6 wins next season. So
yeah, probably right. So what would be your resolution for football?
Find a quarterback. That's mine. So
okay. That's pretty quick and easy.
Yeah.
I
think maintain the staff. Build buzz this year. I think Todd Stewart, as great as he's been as as administrator and everything else, they need to find a way to get Bowling Green jacked about this season. This is the biggest season that we've had since 2015 that we know about, and it's up to them to sell this season. I think let's get not just students there. Students do great. Get Bowling Green excited about the team.
Yes,
that's what I would say.
I mean, if you've got to offer tickets to 20 gallons of gas or whatever, and a hot dog, I don't care. Just get people there to support these guys so they can be as successful as they possibly can. Don't forget to check out men's basketball plays UAB Saturday at 7 p.m. in Birmingham.
What was your resolution, Devin? I don't think you said it.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. I just said be ranked. I just want to be ranked.
Okay. Yeah.
Women's basketball plays MTSU on Saturday at 2 p.m. That's on ESPN3 or 102.7. So check those out. Follow Ross on the Towel Rack, and he's got those articles out that he spoke about earlier with the schedule. And what was the other one you said?
The top off-season questions, which was, I posted that on the 3rd of January. Matt's got some good information about analyzing what Western needs to do to maximize their team in basketball. Women's top basketball notebook. We're the only blog that consistently posts stuff. I mean, some of the other people that people interact with online, they'll come in, they'll be a flash in the pan for a week and then disappear. We were keeping the content train rolling, whether it be the podcast, opponent Q&As, game analysis. We were keeping that whole train running during the December break. So I mean, we love this. This is our kind of passion, our hobby, and we love all you fans that read our stuff and comment on stuff. So, amen.
I personally love fan interaction. I love talking to you guys about what you want to hear and what you see, and guys, as always, follow the Towel Rack, follow us, keep listening, and like, share, and subscribe. And as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
See you, buddy. Have a good
All right,
one.
later, Devin, man. Hey, I'm glad I finally made it back on. So.
I know, right?
All right, we'll talk to you soon. If there's anything I can help you with, any advice and stuff with your daughter, come and let me know. So
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ross. See you, buddy.
all right.